Welcome back to the Celeb Spill Talks. When we think about sports media, we tend to focus on the big names and the flashy personalities, but what about all the people working behind the scenes? What happens when the cameras aren't rolling? Well, today we're diving into a lawsuit against Fox Sports that might expose some pretty dark secrets.
Yeah, this case has it all. Allegations of sexual harassment, abuse of power, even a potential class action lawsuit with over 100 employees involved. It really makes you think about the culture at Fox Sports and how these kinds of situations could even happen.
We've been digging through articles, legal analyses, even some leaked information to try to figure this whole thing out. It's complicated, but we're going to break it down for you piece by piece so you can understand all the details and form your own opinion.
And that's important. This isn't just about one company. It could have a ripple effect across the entire media landscape.
Absolutely. So let's start with the woman at the center of all of this. Nin Faragi, a former hairstylist who worked at Fox Sports for over a decade. And she is making some really shocking allegations.
Right. And it's important to remember these are just allegations at this point. The people named in the lawsuit deny any wrongdoing, but Faragi's claims are very detailed. And she says she has evidence to back them up.
So she started working part-time at Fox Sports back in 2012, and then eventually went full-time in 2016. She claimed she became friends with Joy Taylor, one of the hosts at Fox Sports, and started doing her hair. Seemed like a pretty normal start to a career there.
Yeah, and she also started doing hair for some of the other talent, including Skip Bayless, one of the network's biggest names.
And this is where things allegedly took a turn. Faragi claims that she was subjected to a hostile work environment and basically had to put up with it to support herself and her son.
One of the most interesting things here is Faragi kept a detailed journal the whole time she worked at Fox Sports. And she says she has recordings and text messages, too, to back up her claims.
It's not every day you see that kind of documentation. Do you think a personal journal will hold up in court?
That's a really good question. Journals can be tricky in legal cases. Both sides will definitely be looking at them closely. The defense might try to say that what's in the journal is subjective or even made up. But if Faragi can show other evidence that supports what's in the journal, it could be a powerful tool for her case.
Okay, so let's talk about her specific claims. She's alleging sexual harassment and battery against Skip Bayless and Charlie Dixon, the executive vice president of content for Fox Sports 1.Z.
Right, let's start with Bayless. Faragi says he would give her these lingering hugs, kiss her on the cheek, and often press her up against his chest. She also says he would make comments about her body, inappropriate comments.
That sounds so uncomfortable.
It does. And there's more. Faragi claims that Bayless offered her $1,500,000 to sleep with him.
Wow. If that's true, that really makes you think about the power dynamics at play. Someone in Bayless's position allegedly offering that much money, it could make someone like Faragi feel trapped or pressured.
Exactly. And this is where those recordings could be really important. Faragi says she has recordings from the makeup room and that Bayless knew about them. She even claims he said that the room was bugged during one of their conversations.
If that recording is real and Bayless knew he was being recorded, you have to wonder why he would say or do anything that could be used against him.
That's a question for the court to try to answer. It makes you think he maybe felt untouchable, like his position would protect him no matter what. We'll have to see what evidence comes out.
So what about the allegations against Charlie Dixon?
Faragi claims that Dixon groped her at a party.
That's a really serious accusation. Did she report it to anyone at the time?
She says she told Joy Taylor about it, but that Taylor told her to keep quiet.
So she confided in a friend and coworker, and instead of getting support, she was told to just stay silent.
Yeah. According to Faragi, Taylor basically said that both of their jobs depended on Dixon and that speaking up could put their jobs at risk.
That sounds like a culture of fear and silence. If it's true, it makes you wonder if there was any way for people to report these kinds of incidents safely and without being afraid of losing their jobs.
That's a really important point. If those systems aren't in place, or even if it just seems like they don't work, it can create a situation where people feel like they have no choice but to stay quiet.
So we have these very specific allegations against Bayless and Dixon, but Joy Taylor's alleged role in all of this adds another layer to the story.
It does. She's not being accused of directly hurting Faragi, but she is implicated in creating that toxic work environment at Fox Sports. And this is where things get really interesting.
So we've got this culture of silence, but then there's Faragi's claim that Taylor herself was playing the game to get ahead at Fox Sports.
Right. The lawsuit says that she was using her relationships with powerful men at the network, specifically Charlie Dixon and Emmanuel Acho, the former NFL player who also worked at Fox.
So she's accused of using the same system that she supposedly told Faragi to keep quiet about. Seems kind of hypocritical.
Yeah, it definitely makes you question her motives and her ethics. Gets even more complicated because Faragi says Taylor told her that if Dixon ever tried to break up with her or threaten her job, she would accuse him of sexual assault.
Wow, huh? That's a big claim. So she was allegedly willing to use a serious accusation as leverage to protect herself.
That's what Faragi's saying. And it really gets to the heart of this whole case, how ambition and power can corrupt people.
It's like this whole situation is a web of relationships and power dynamics. It's hard to know who to believe it really is.
But beyond the drama, there's a bigger issue here. This case raises serious questions about how women are treated in sports media and what they might feel they have to do to succeed.
Especially when they're in positions like Faragi's where they might not have much power or leverage.
Exactly. This isn't just about the individuals involved. It's about systemic issues that need to be addressed.
And that brings us to the class action lawsuit. Faragi isn't just suing on her own behalf. She's trying to represent over 100 other hourly workers at Fox Sports who say they were denied proper compensation.
Right. The class action focuses on wage theft, unpaid overtime, missed meal breaks, being forced to work double shifts without being paid properly.
So the claim is that Fox Sports exploited its hourly workers to save money.
Basically. But it's important to remember, class actions are complicated. There's no guarantee it will even be certified. The court has to decide if the claims of all the potential class members are similar enough to be tried together.
But if it is certified, what could that mean for Fox Sports?
That could be huge. If they lose, they could be facing a massive financial judgment and a public relations nightmare, especially on top of the other allegations.
It sounds like this whole case could force Fox Sports to do some soul searching, not just about their labor practices, but about the culture that allowed this alleged behavior to happen.
Absolutely. They've already released a statement saying they take the allegations seriously, but declining to comment further because of the pending litigation.
What about the people named in the lawsuit? Have they responded?
Skip Bayless and his lawyers haven't said anything publicly yet. It'll be interesting to see how they address the allegations, especially that alleged recording.
And what about Shannon Sharp? He was Bayless' co-host on Undisputed. And the lawsuit says Bayless was paranoid about an affair between Faragi and Sharp.
Right. Sharpe is denied any involvement, and specifically denied having an affair with Faragi.
He came out pretty quickly with that denial.
He did. It's interesting.
Do you think it was a good move?
It's hard to say. On the one hand, it lets him distance himself from the scandal and protect his own reputation. But on the other hand, it could look like he's trying to discredit Faragi before the claims have even been fully investigated.
Okay. And what about Joy Taylor? Has she said anything?
Nothing so far.
Yeah.
And I think that silence is a lot. She's involved in a lot of different parts of this case. So people are definitely paying attention to her response or lack of response.
This whole thing is playing out in the public eye, too. There's been a ton of speculation and debate online.
There has. It's important to separate fact from speculation. It's easy to get caught up in the gossip, but these are serious allegations. And it's important to let the legal process work itself out.
But no matter what happens in court, I think this case brings up important questions for all of us, especially for those of us who work in media or any industry where power dynamics are a big factor.
I agree. It makes you think about your own workplace, the systems, the culture, the unwritten rules. Are we doing enough to create environments where everyone feels safe and respected and empowered to speak up?
It's about creating a culture of accountability where everyone is held to the same standard, no matter what their position is or how much power they have.
And it's about listening to the people who have been silenced. Their stories are important and they deserve to be heard.
It's interesting how much this case seems to have resonated with people. You know, we've seen so many strong reactions online, people taking sides and weighing in with their opinions.
Yeah, it's definitely become a focal point for all these bigger discussions about power and accountability and gender dynamics in the workplace. And that's where it gets really interesting for all of us, whether we work in sports media or not.
Right, because these issues aren't limited to Fox Sports, are they? We see these same things happening in all kinds of industries.
Exactly. Think about where you work. Have you ever seen behavior that made you feel uncomfortable or seen someone abuse their power? Have you ever felt like you couldn't speak up about something you knew was wrong?
Those are tough questions to think about, but they're important ones. This case really shows us that these things happen everywhere.
It does. And it challenges us to think about how we can create a better world, a more equitable world. It's not just about punishing people who do bad things. It's about changing the systems that allow those behaviors to happen in the first place.
So where do we go from here? What are the next steps in this case?
Well, the legal process will probably take a long time. There will be a lot of back and forth, motions, depositions, evidence, arguments. It's possible they could settle along the way, or it could go all the way to trial.
And what could happen? What are the potential outcomes for Fox Sports and for the individuals named in the lawsuit?
Well, if the court sides with Faragi and the other plaintiffs, the financial consequences for Fox Sports could be huge. They could have to pay a lot of money and damages, not to mention legal fees and settlements. And beyond the financial hit, there's the potential damage to their reputation. Their brand could be tarnished. They could lose viewers and advertisers.
And what about Bayless, Dixon, and Taylor? Could this be the end of their careers?
It's definitely a possibility. Even if they aren't found liable in court, these allegations could be enough to hurt their reputations and make it hard for them to keep working in the industry. Their careers are definitely on the line.
It sounds like there will be consequences for everyone involved, no matter what happens.
I think so. It reminds us that our actions have consequences. What we say and do can affect other people, even if we don't mean for it to.
It's a cautionary tale.
It is, but it's also an opportunity, a chance to have difficult conversations, to challenge how things are, and to work towards a better future.
So as this case plays out, we hope you'll keep learning about it, keep asking questions, and keep the conversation going. What are your takeaways from all of this? What does this case tell us about the media industry, about power dynamics, about our own workplaces? How can we use this to make a positive difference?
Thanks for joining us on this episode from Celeb Spill Talks. For more news, click on subscribe link. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep working to make the world a better place.